Imagine these invisible guardians and gatekeepers. They're the identities controlling everything in our digital world. Now, picture them under this constant, relentless attack. Today, we're doing a deep dive into identity security. It's a really critical battleground in cybersecurity, but often kind of overlooked, and it impacts all of us.
Absolutely. And our goal for you, the listener, is really to unpack this detailed report we have on Delinea's identity security solutions. We want to pull out the key nuggets of knowledge, maybe highlight some surprising facts, and sort of connect the dots so you understand not just what these solutions do, but why they're so important for, well, the fabric of our digital lives.
Think of it as a shortcut, to getting properly informed on this.
Exactly.
All right, let's jump right in, expert. When we talk about the sheer scale of this identity security problem, what's one statistic that really, jumps out at you?
Well, there's a figure from the Identity Defined Security Alliance that's just mind-boggling, really. Get this. 84% of organizations experienced an identity-related breach in just 1 year.
84%. Wow. In a single year.
Yes.
That's almost everyone.
Pretty much. It's staggering.
So what's driving this? I mean, this huge surge in identity breaches. Why is identity suddenly the soft underbelly of cybersecurity?
It's really a shift in focus for cybercriminals. Traditional security might guard the network perimeter, maybe individual devices, endpoints, but attackers now, they're targeting the identity itself. This whole identity attack surface has become the main way in.
And why is that?
Well, mostly because of things like weak credentials, overprivileged accounts, where people or systems have way more access than they actually need. And increasingly, we're seeing really sophisticated AI-powered attacks that can mimic legitimate users. It's just, it's often the easiest door to open.
And it gets even more complex, right? Because we're not just talking about human identities like you and me anymore. The report really hammers home this explosion of what it calls non-human identities, NHIs. What exactly are those, and what's the scale we're talking about here?
Right. That's where things get really, really interesting and challenging. So non-human identities, these are things like service accounts, the ones that run applications behind the scenes, API keys that let software talk to each other, automated bots, stuff like that. And the projection is just astonishing. These NHIs are expected to hit 45 billion by 2025.
45 billion.
Billion. And to put that in perspective, they'll outnumber human identities by something like 46 to 1.
46 to 1. That's incredible. So, okay, what does this massive explosion of non-human identities actually mean for security? I mean, I can only imagine the headaches.
Oh, it creates huge headaches. It creates what we call identity sprawl. Imagine your digital footprint just expanding at like warp speed. And every new device, every application, every AI tool needs its own passport or key, right? This rapid growth, often kind of unmanaged, creates this chaotic web of digital access points. And that becomes a prime target for attackers. It's a huge risk.
So how do companies deal with that?
Well, that's where players like Delinea come in. They're seen as a front runner in this pretty big $13 billion identity management market, and they're tackling this head on with their cloud-native Delinea identity security platform. It's really built for this new reality.
Sounds like they're trying to stay ahead of the curve. The report also mentioned Delinea made some strategic acquisitions in 2024, Authamize and FastPath.
Yeah, they did.
How quickly did they get those integrated? And what did they, bring to the table?
They moved incredibly fast, actually. Integrated them within like 90 days. Authamize brought better entitlement mapping, which is super important for cloud stuff. And FastPath boosted their audit and segregation of duties capabilities. It really shows they're committed to, quickly beefing up their platform.
Okay, so we talked about the scope of the problem. Huge. Now, how does Delinea actually help organizations fight back? You mentioned their identity security platform. It's not just one thing, is it? It sounds more like a whole toolkit.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. Think of Delinea's platform as this multi-layered defense system. It has several key parts: identity threat detection and response, ITDR, cloud infrastructure entitlement management, CIMM, continuous identity discovery, CID, AI-driven audit, AEA, analytics, and AI security. Each one's like a specialized unit, but crucially, they're all tightly integrated. They share intelligence, creating this unified front against identity attacks.
Okay, let's maybe break those down. Let's start with identity threat detection and response, ITDR. What's its core function? What's it trying to solve?
Okay, so ITDR's main job is proactively safeguarding that identity infrastructure. And here's maybe the key difference. Traditional security often just floods you with alerts, right? It's overwhelming. What Delinea's ITDR aims for is providing real insights, a clear path through all that noise. It doesn't just flag a threat. It tells you, okay, this specific configuration needs strengthening here, or focus on this high-risk identity now. It uses AI and machine learning for real-time detection and, importantly, automated responses across multi-cloud, sauces, hybrid, wherever your identities live, moving from just data overload to actionable steps.
Right. So it's like a really smart digital bouncer. What kind of anomalies does it typically flag? What does it look for?
It's constantly monitoring all identities, users, systems, looking for anomalies. Things like, obvious brute force attacks or MFA bombing. That's when someone tries to just overwhelm your multi-factor authentication prompts. It also catches password spraying, logins from known malicious IPs, but also subtler stuff like an unusual session duration. Maybe someone's logged in for way longer than usual, little deviations that might signal something's wrong.
That sounds incredibly granular.
Yeah.
And you mentioned actionable recommendations.
Yeah.
How does it communicate those? What's the impact?
Yeah, a key part is giving those clear recommendations. Strengthen this config, review this user's access, etc. And it integrates with existing SIEM systems, Splunk, Azure Sentinel, the places companies collect all their security logs. So security teams get these prioritized AI-driven risk scores. It helps them cut through the noise and focus on what actually matters most right now.
The report had this really compelling example. A global financial institution used ITDR, detected suspicious login patterns from some unrecognized IP in real time. The system automatically enforced adaptive MFA and then blocked a credential stuffing attempt, all within minutes. Prevented a potential breach. That's immediate threat neutralization.
It really is. That's the goal. And Delinea keeps enhancing it. They've recently improved their privileged behavior analytics, added new CM connectors, a new threat intelligence feed. It just keeps getting smarter. We even saw a case where a Fortune 500 retailer cut their incident response times by 40% using ITDR. That's a huge improvement.
40%. Yeah, that's massive. Real-time vigilance is clearly crucial. But what about managing all the permissions and access rights before an attack even happens, especially in those sprawling cloud environments? That brings us to the next piece, Cloud Infrastructure Entitlement Management, or CIM. How does that help ensure least privilege in clouds?
Right. CIM is laser-focused on that principle of least privilege. Basically, giving users or systems only the absolute minimum access they need to do their job. This is super critical in dynamic cloud environments like AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle Cloud. And why it matters so much to you, the listener, is it drastically shrinks the attack surface. If an attacker does breach one account, they can't just wander everywhere. Their blast radius is limited. Plus, it really simplifies compliance with regulations like GDPR, IPA, SOC2, makes auditors happier.
I can only imagine how messy cloud permissions can get. What are some key features that make CIM effective here?
Well, key features include continuous entitlement discovery, always scanning for new access rights. But what's really powerful, I think, is its ability to map effective access. This means it uncovers hidden risks, like maybe a developer doesn't have direct access to production data, but they inherit it through some complex chain of roles or groups. CIM finds those hidden pathways. Then it helps enforce least privilege policies and uses AI analytics to recommend specific permission adjustments, like this user hasn't used this permission in 90 days, maybe revoke it.
That sounds like it could save a ton of headaches, especially during audits. The report mentioned a healthcare provider using CIM
Yeah, I remember that one.
to right-size permissions for their dev team in Azure, made sure they were HIPAA compliant, and they generated automated reports in hours, not weeks. That's a game changer.
It absolutely is. And that Optimize acquisition we mentioned, that significantly boosted their entitlement mapping. They also added a new cloud risk dashboard. We heard beta testers reported something like a 30% reduction in cloud misconfiguration risks. That's a tangible impact.
Okay, this next one sounds vital given what you said earlier. Continuous identity discovery, or CID. It's all about visibility, right? With, 45 billion non-human identities coming. How do you even know what's out there?
Exactly. That's the fundamental problem CID tackles. It delivers real-time visibility into all identities, human and non-human, across your entire environment. Cloud, SaaS, on-prem. The main benefit, eliminating blind spots. You can't secure what you don't know you have. It also flags misconfigurations and assesses risk based on things like privilege levels and usage patterns. It helps prioritize the high-risk stuff, dormant accounts, accounts without MFA, helps you focus your efforts.
So it finds the hidden risks. The report had an example. A tech company found dormant service accounts in GCP using CID, mapped their excessive permissions, revoked them, and bam, potential attack vector closed.
Precisely. Proactive defense. And this capability is becoming even more crucial now with the explosion of AI tools. Delinea actually previewed something called Discover AI in Q2 2025. It's a CID feature designed specifically to sniff out unsanctioned AI tools' shadow AI usage.
Shadow AI? You mean people using AI tools the company doesn't know about or hasn't approved?
Exactly. And apparently something like 60% of enterprises are worried about shadow AI risks. So finding it is the first step to securing it.
Okay, let's talk audits. Just hearing the word makes people groan, right? Mountains of paperwork, weeks of work. Well, AI-driven audit, or AI, sounds like it wants to change that. Automating audits, ensuring compliance using AI and machine learning. How does it actually transform that painful audit process?
It really aims to streamline things, take user access reviews, checking who has access to what. AI automates much of that. It also helps enforce segregation of duties, or SO, making sure one person doesn't have conflicting permissions, like creating and approving payments. But what's really interesting is it provides predictive risk insights. It doesn't just look backward at what happened. It uses predictive analytics to forecast potential compliance risks before they become violations. It shifts auditing from being this reactive chore to more of a proactive security function.
That proactive element sounds key. And the practical example was a retailer automating SOC2 compliance reviews for Salesforce Access. Found SOD violations, generated audit reports in hours instead of weeks, cut costs by 30%. That's efficiency and better security.
Huge gains. And they showed something really innovative at Black Hat 2024. AIDA now has natural language query capabilities powered by their Delinea GPT. Meaning even non-technical users like an auditor or a manager can just ask questions in plain English, like, show me all users with admin access to Salesforce and get the report. It really democratizes the audit process, makes it much more accessible.
Very cool. Okay, next pillar, analytics. This one uses privileged behavior analytics, PBA, to understand identity behavior and spot anomalies. What's PBA actually doing?
So PBA essentially establishes behavioral baselines for every identity. It learns what normal looks like for Jane Doe or for that critical service account based on things like login times, locations, resources accessed, their typical patterns. Then, when it detects unusual activity, something outside that baseline, maybe an API key suddenly trying to access a weird database, it triggers real-time alerts. And importantly, it can even initiate automated responses, like forcing a password change or just terminating the suspicious session.
So it could catch subtle insider threats or maybe sophisticated attacks that blend in. The report had that striking use case.
The software company one.
Yeah, detected abnormal API key usage in their CI/CD pipeline, flagged it as an insider threat, and the system just automatically killed the session. Preserve their DevOps integrity.
That's the power of it right there. Detection and immediate response to stop the bleeding. We also heard about a European bank at #IDM Nordics 2025. They used analytics, detected a ransomware attempt early, and saved an estimated $2 million in potential losses. That's a clear ROI on security.
Wow, $2 million saved. Okay, final pillar, AI security. We talked about the rise of AI and those 45 billion non-human identities. Securing AI itself seems like the next frontier. Delinea's AI security solutions protect AI infrastructure, LLMs, AI pipelines. How is securing AI different, and what's Delinea's focus?
Yeah, it's definitely a new frontier of risk. We're not just securing the data AI uses, but the AI systems themselves and how they get accessed. Delinea is focused on tackling things like that shadow AI problem we mentioned, credential misuse for AI services, and even AI-driven attacks against the AI. Key features include things like AI identity discovery, finding the AI systems, secure credential management thing vaulting, and automatically rotating critical API keys for services like OpenAI or Anthropic, and enforcing least privilege specifically for AI infrastructure, protecting the brains, essentially.
And the report mentioned something about Delinea adhering to strict guidelines for bias-free, transparent AI operations in its own security decisions. That's an interesting ethical layer.
It is. It's about ensuring the AI doing the securing is itself trustworthy and operates ethically, builds confidence. And they've expanded here recently, too. April 2025 saw Vault AI for automating LLM credential management and Secure AI for enforcing just-in-time access for AI servers. Plus, that Discover AI preview we talked about is key for governing shadow AI. Beta testers apparently saw a 25% reduction in unauthorized AI usage just from having that visibility.
Okay, so we've gone through the individual pieces. Let's zoom out a bit. Delinea's position in the industry. They've been a leader in Gartner's Magic Quadrant for PAM privileged access management for 6 years running.
6 consecutive years, yeah, 2019 through 2024.
What does that kind of consistent recognition tell you?
Well, it speaks volumes about sustained innovation and, crucially, execution. They deliver. Their cloud-native platform also boasts impressive uptime, 99.995%, and can apparently deploy in weeks. And get this, it requires something like 90% fewer resources to manage compared to some competitors. So for you, the listener, what does this mean in real-world value?
It means faster time to actually getting secure.
Right.
Less operational headache, more reliable protection day to day. It's not just having the features, it's how efficiently they work. And those acquisitions optimize FastPath plus innovations like Delinea GPT for queries, Discover AI for shadow AI, the threat intelligence feed. It shows they're not standing still.
Absolutely not. And if you connect all this to the bigger picture, the major industry trends, Delinea seems directly aligned. You've got the exponential growth of AI-driven threats. They're predicted to be 50% faster, more sophisticated by 2026. You've got that explosion of non-human identities we keep mentioning, the big push towards zero-trust principles. Gartner thinks 70% of enterprises will adopt by 2026. And of course, mounting regulatory pressure, GDPR, CCPA, DORA in Europe.
So pulling it all together, what does this mean for organizations trying to navigate this incredibly complex landscape? What's Delinea's vision here?
I think their vision is pretty clear. Empower organizations to embrace AI and cloud technologies, but do it securely. They're offering this unified, AI-driven platform to manage the whole identity lifecycle, from creation to retirement, human and non-human. With a strong emphasis on ethical AI and continuous innovation, it's really about enabling secure growth, not just reacting to the latest threat.
So we've taken quite a deep dive today. We've seen how identity really has become the new cybersecurity perimeter, and how innovative solutions like Delinea's platform are stepping up to meet these massive challenges from non-human identities and sophisticated AI threats.
Yeah, we've seen how you really need this comprehensive approach, right? Combining advanced detection, careful management, continuous discovery, automated audits, and now even AI-specific security. It's all essential for securing our digital future.
It is truly fascinating, isn't it? How the very definition of identity in the digital world is just rapidly expanding way beyond humans.
It really is, and maybe that leaves a profound question for you, the listener, to think about. As these non-human identities keep growing, outnumbering human ones by this vast margin, how might our whole understanding of digital security, maybe even digital trust, fundamentally shift in the coming years? What new ethical dilemmas or practical ones might this create? And how will organizations adapt to secure this increasingly autonomous digital world?